All right,
All
everyone. Thank you
right.
for joining me again. Today I have Middletown South coach Megan Barry. Coach, thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Um, First, I'd like to get started. When did you get into coaching, and what made you get into coaching?
My first experiences with coaching started as a teenager. I was 16 years old, and I was helping train soccer teams in Middletown, actually, which is the town that I grew up in. I played at Middletown South, and Chris Haar at the time was coaching here, and she had me helping her train some of her teams. Um, and from that, I started to really develop a passion for coaching. Also, growing up, leading was kind of came naturally to me as a teammate. So even as a kid, I always knew that I wanted to coach at some point in my career. And when I started teaching in Middletown, the opportunity presented itself when Chris Haar and Tara Ernst, who were coaches of mine, when they were ready to take a step back, I was able to step in and carry on some of the traditions that that they started. So it was a really great experience and opportunity for me, kind of going through the system and going full circle there.
Yeah, that's great. So what year did you take over the program?
I started coaching in 2015. I was 22 years old when I started as the head coach here at South. It was really an interesting experience because obviously the age gap between the seniors and myself wasn't so big, but I was able to form such nice bonds with the girls. I felt like a big sister to them in some ways, and it has just been so fantastic ever since.
Um, Sounds. I got my coaching's license. Well, it was a trainer's license because I was too young to have a coach's license at 15. So my dad made me because I was always helping out the team,
Okay.
his teams, and he made me go get my license. The old Monmouth coach was my instructor, was the guy who gave the class when Pierce was on Monmouth. So it was basically
Okay.
we had to go watch Monmouth play. That was the class. So it was fun.
Oh, nice. Well, that's where I played a year at Monmouth, so I know they have a great program there. So,
Yeah. So what are some accomplishments you had since taking over the program?
so since I've taken over, 2017 was a huge year for us. It was the first time in 17 years that we had been state champions. So we won the North 2 Group 3 state championship that year, and we were also group finalists that year as well. And then last year, 2019, was a big year for us as well. We had the best record in program history at 22-2. We were undefeated in the A North division. We were short conference semifinalists, North 2 Group 3 state champions, and we were Group 3 semifinalists, and we were named short conference team of the year. So it was a really, those 2 years in particular have been especially successful for us. So.
Yeah, I got to see. Unfortunately, I only saw one of your games, which was the RBC short conference game, and I wish I got to more of your games because even though you guys didn't have the outcome there, but it was your fun team. Watching Katie Coyle play, it was so impressive watching
Yeah.
her play. I
Yeah,
just want to talk a
and
little.
Frank does a really great job. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No,
I was saying that Frank does a really great job with RBC, so it's always a fun, it's always a fun competition with them.
yeah. Um, I just want to go through the short conference tournament a little bit. You guys were the 2 seed, right? Yeah, I think Jackson was the 1.
Yes.
Now, Jackson was
Yes.
defeated because they were that's why they got the 1. But after seeing your team play, I thought you guys were better than Jackson. And I know Jackson very well, so I could say that and not feel bad. But just go through the game a bit leading up to the RBC game in the tournament.
Sure. I mean, each game was pretty competitive. We had faced RBR at one point, and then we had played against Wall, which was one of those back and forth games. They scored, we scored, they scored, we scored. It was a good game. It was raining under the lights. It was definitely high energy. And then, of course, facing RBC, like I said, we always have a really competitive match between the two of us. And we had played RBC earlier in the season. And again, I think that was an overtime win for us. So we knew that it was going to be a challenge going into it. And like I said, I really commend the RBC team. I thought they.
Oh, did I lose you? Oh, there you go.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Nick. I'm about to lose battery. Can I just plug in? I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose you. I should have checked before. All right. My apologies.
Oh, it's all good. Yeah, that RBC game, it was a fun game. Your team is so strong defensively all season. I want to talk a little bit the Ramapo game in state. Ramapo, since I was in high school, has had strong soccer program, girls soccer programs. Can you talk a little bit about that game?
Yeah. Sure. The Ramapo game was another back and forth. They scored. Emma Ladisi, as a senior last year, she was our leading goal scorer, broke records in our school for goals in a single season. She had a hat trick that day and just really came up big for us. They had a really strong midfield that they were great on the counterattack and building out of the back. And Emma just had an answer for almost every goal that they had. So we ended the game it was 4-3. We ended the game 4-3. But again, that's what a group semifinal should feel like. It was challenging, it was tough, and that's the level of competition that it should be.
Yeah. Emma had a great season. I think I had her on my all-shore first team. She was an excellent player. Can you talk about some of the other seniors that graduated? I know your goalie graduated. You graduated a couple seniors. Can you just talk about a couple of them for me?
Yeah, so you mentioned Emma Bennett. She was our starting goalkeeper last year. She was someone who really worked tirelessly in practice, after practice, to get herself better. This went on for years, and she really wanted that starting spot, and she earned it as a senior. And I think she ultimately came out and surprised everyone. She was second team all division. She had 9 shutouts. She was, I thought she played a huge role in our team's success last year. You mentioned our defense and how strong our defense was. Philomena Di Gregorio was one of our captains. And she also, she is passionate. She is vocal. She is strong. And she was also dangerous in the attack, especially on set pieces. But I think as a team, the way that all the girls and her coaches felt about her, I think, was her biggest contribution. She made everyone feel good about themselves, and I know that we all miss her. Maddie Ladisi was Emma's sister. She was also, her and Emma were both captains. Maddie played center midfield for us, and she was probably one of the most composed, consistent, and strongest players on the field. She didn't have a ton of stats, so I feel like her name wasn't as widely known, and she went below the radar, but she played a role both offensively and defensively for us, and really I could put her anywhere on the field, and she would do the job that we needed. And those few players were 4-year letter winners. The second they came in as freshmen, they played every single minute of every single game, which I think was what was helpful last year. They had the experience from 2017. They were on that team, contributed to that team, and they knew what it was going to take as leaders to do as well as they needed to as seniors. And then, of course, we had a few others. Haley Nicholas, she graduated last year as well, just an overall leader. Jess Monahan was another one. We had a really strong senior group last year.
Yeah, you brought up, being a leader, on the field, but you're not putting up stats, and you don't get the recognition. It's one reason why I do this, because there's so much talent on a soccer field, and it seems like only the goal scorers or a good goalie, gets it, and there's so much other talent that does the small things on the field that's so fun to watch. I want to transition.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
I want to transition this year. Katie Coyle, obviously going to be the leader on the field. Who else do you think will take over some of the leadership roles you lost from the seniors?
Yeah, I mean, just to say a little bit about Katie, I know she's getting a lot of recognition, and rightfully so. Yep. She plays midfield for us, but she can play anywhere. She's a captain. She was one of our leading goal scorers. She leading assists, and as many know, that she's committed to Notre Dame. But we also have, our starting goalie this year is Jess Bucello. She's a senior. She was a starter 2 years ago. And even though she wasn't our starter last year, she did come in and win some big games for us, and we are confident in her abilities. We have two other captains, Kira Prince, who is a senior. She's a forward and captain. And then we have a junior, Megan Carragher. She was one of our center backs with Philomena last year. Megan Carragher is an extraordinary center back. She came in as a freshman and without a beat just was a leader no matter what age she was vocal and strong and knows how to read the game and play the game very well. And then some of our other seniors that we're hoping to be leaders are Sophia Romano, who also plays defense, and Jordan Key, who plays in the center midfield. And then there are some players who are underclassmen who I do have to mention that they were huge contributors last year, and we're looking forward to having them back this year. Abby Doherty, who played outside back on one side last year. In our sectional final game, it was her job to basically shut down Cranford's leading goal scorer, and she did a fantastic job as a freshman. And Michaela Jaffe also plays defense. This year we're moving her into the midfield, and she is fantastic. Beth Rankin is also going to be in the midfield. She's a junior. So we have some underclassmen. We have a young team, but most of them were involved last year. So we're excited to have them back again this year.
How about any incoming freshmen? Do you have any incoming that might make an impact this season?
Yeah, so as I mentioned, Michaela, we're trying to move her into the center midfield, which opens up an outside back position. And Cameron Sotek is a freshman. She plays defense, and she's a contender for that role. Someone who is smart. She plays a nice possession game. She likes to join the attack, which are all things that we look for in our outside backs. And Jen Schuster is also a freshman. She's a pretty dynamic player, can play defense forward, similar to Cameron, just a good possession player and knows the game. So
I want to talk a little bit about the schedule. First, what are your thoughts of playing the same team back and back? I'm kind of indifferent towards it. I don't necessarily have any positive or negative feelings about it. Obviously, if it's what's going to keep us all safe, I think that's what's most important. I think it's interesting because you have time. Normally you have that time in between to make adjustments from the last time you see them. It'll be definitely interesting to leave a game and only have a short, quick time to make the adjustments that you need and kind of go back in with the information that you already know about them. I think it's just going to be different, and I'm just intrigued to see how it goes. So, yeah, and you're in a tough division. You and Freehold, probably don't. In my opinion, only two teams that are going to be up there with the RBC this season. You talk about, playing Freehold twice, and, Middletown North is going to be much improved from last year. I heard they got a couple DA players back on the team. So just talk about those two matchups.
Yeah, I mean, Middletown North and Freehold Township are always good games. Middletown North obviously being the rival. I think any year it doesn't matter who has what players or whatever. It's always a good game. Trish Mashanya, the coach there, does a fantastic job. She's a friend of mine, and I highly respect what she does with her girls. But we did scrimmage them. They were our one scrimmage, and they do look strong. So it'll be, obviously it'll be a different game because the scrimmage is a scrimmage. You're kind of throwing things around, testing things out. But like I said, they definitely look strong this year, and I'm looking forward to playing them. And Freehold, Dave Patterson does a great job with his team, always has. They're always competitive. And I mean, I don't really know what to expect from them this year. I'm assuming they will be strong. But we're just going to hopefully go into these big games with us, going in the way that we like to always play, a nice possession game, and just go in every game like every single game counts. So.
Do you feel playing, strong teams during the season helps the team in the postseason?
Definitely. I think, normally the athletic director and I, we try to get as many tough games on the schedule as we can. I think that having all that preparation for the postseason does wonders for the team. There's so much to be learned from playing a team that is as good as you or better than you. Like, I think that challenge, it shows you not only about what your skill level is, but also it shows you a little bit about your character too. And, when you're facing adversity like that, I think that there's only good that can come of that when it comes to improving in the future. So.
Last question, then we could wrap up. What are some goals you have set this season? It doesn't have to be postseason goals, because who knows, they get it to the postseason.
Right.
But what goals you have set for your team this season?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to results, of course, we'd like to compete for both that division and state championship again this year. But I think for the big one as a team, I would love for our returners to really continue to foster that great team chemistry that they had last year. That was one of the big takeaways from our season. People kept asking, what was the secret to our success? And the girls would support me in saying that it was our team chemistry. So if they can just continue to foster that and have fun with what they're doing out on the field and use their experience to lead the team, I would be happy with that. That would be a goal that I would set for us this year. So.
Yeah, I definitely, look forward. I have the Middletown, one of the North games circled to get to, and definitely the Freehold game. I think those would be tough. All right, Coach, I appreciate you taking the time to join me. I know, season's getting ready to start. Everybody's really busy. So, and then,
Yeah, no, I really appreciate you meeting with me and for the coverage. It's really great that you, give a little spotlight to girls soccer. It's really nice.
Yeah, try. I'm hoping to get it bigger, so we'll see. So, all right, Coach.
Well, thank you so much. And I hope you take care. Stay healthy.
Thank you, too.